I finally reviewed the music of Versus Ambivalence, the second season, and let me tell you, whew, I like this second season a whole lot. I have yet to listen to a song performed by both, created by both of them, that doesn't have a really awesome performance on top. So I don't have any complaints whatsoever. If it is Ryohei Kimura, I now know it's going to be a good time. Welcome to another episode of Monthly Review. This time around we are going to talk about the releases that dropped in August, September and October. I know I've taken some time to review these ones, but well, this is a jam-packed episode with tons of new music for me, of course, and let's talk about it. First off, we have EROSION with Rhythm Chaos, and wow, what a release this is, because this one was massive, a massive upgrade over what they've released so far in 2025. Rhythm Chaos, the title track, is exactly everything that I would expect coming from this group, which is that aggression, that slightly eerie vibe, that sort of vampiric touch, because that's an underlying tone in this franchise, with the Carnelian Blood franchise, and the sound is dark and heavy, which is something that I love a whole lot. We have Ron back creating music with EROSION, and this time around he actually nailed the job, which was to create a song that perfectly encapsulated what EROSION is and how they usually sound like, which is something that I felt at least was lost in the previous release, and in this case, in Rhythm Chaos, that was captured yet again, which is a massive plus in my opinion. So we have a really awesome rock tune there. I feel that it is almost let's say Halloween coded, because the vibe is really eerie with that synth playing in the background from start to finish in the song. But there's also a really playful element to the song, as we have that shake it section, which may seem like it comes out of nowhere, but it fits within the song, which is crazy good. So yeah, we have Rhythm Chaos there. An unbelievable song, which I was honestly not expecting. Coming from that release, I was not expecting that they would catch up to their quality and their sound, or their original sound and quality with this release. It would take some time, because they basically were away for a year, and they have in some capacity changed composers. But actually Ron is actually up to speed after one release, which is kind of impressive, but also not surprising at all, because he's a professional composer, so he would get up to speed with the sound and the vibe that EROSION usually has when he arrived to this release. I'm going to double check the review, because I don't know things by heart. But Rhythm Chaos is unbelievably good. We have the tie-up track, which is Alive, and this one was slightly different in a way. We have Toshiki Toyanaga leading the way in this song. This is a song that is more, I would say, more piano-driven than any other song that they have in this release, for sure. In the last couple of years, perhaps. There's a ton of piano going on in there, but this is a song that I feel is meant to hype up fans during a live show, more so than when you are listening to a song. I feel that, for example, when you listen to songs that are meant to be played live, you usually, when you are listening to those and you are static in a place, for example in your room or in your car or something like that, it feels weird to listen to a song that is meant to be played live, because it is calling for chants that you are not listening to, and if it is your first time, you are not going to chant to anything, because you don't know the lyrics. So I feel it is slightly weird. The song actually works pretty well. If you listen for a second time, though, the song actually sounds like it is meant to be played live and to have people join in the fun and sing along. So while I enjoyed live, that was not the favorite song in this release. For sure, Rhythm Chaos was the winner for me. So yeah. I would say EROSION is back on track with Rhythm Chaos, and I'm so excited to see what they can do next, especially because we also are going to talk about that as well. After that we have SOARA with I Will and Bokura no Uta. This actually was a release that I listened to out of order in the Anokoro no Bokura wa CD series. I had yet to, yes, please forgive me, I had yet to review fully Grove's CD as well as Quell's, and now I arrived at SOARA's. This one was actually pretty fun. I feel that when you listen to these CDs, especially the Anokoro CDs, from the band or group perspective, not the individual characters, you actually get to see glimpses of what the group was initially and where the group now is. And I like to see that evolution, that if I would say that growth that the groups underwent over the years. They have been around for 10 years this year. They are celebrating their 10th anniversary, the franchise. And beyond Quell, which they were a new addition to the franchise, they arrived 1 or 2 years after the franchise kick-started. But these are a group celebrating their 10th anniversary, and their music sounds as fresh as ever. At the same time, for longtime fans, it still captures that essence of youth and carefree vibe that they had in their initial or original sound. Let's call it original with quotation marks. That's their debut sound. But they have evolved over time, and that's because, and I've said this countless times before, the franchise is growing older with their fans, so the characters are no longer teenagers, they are already grown-ups, doing their own things, having their own jobs, having the band as well. So you notice that growth in their music, in their performances, and I like that a whole lot. When you listen to these songs, I Will in specific, but also Bokura no Uta, you feel that growth is there, because there's still that excitement, that youthful vibe, but it is approached in a more mature way, or in a mature way, let's say, because it was not a mature way to approach something that is youthful, but now it is approached in a mature way. So there's a different take with more experience on top, and you can tell by the performances that they are more emotional, not explosive in their emotions, but more contained and purposeful in their emotions. So I like a lot what they performed here in I Will, Bokura no Uta. Bokura no Uta is actually the song that stood out the most for me on the vocal end, but I Will is the song that stands out the most in terms of the instrumental. So they sort of complemented each other. I feel that this is not a perfect release by no means by SOARA, but it is a fairly entertaining one. And if you are a longtime fan, this is going to not only make you super nostalgic about their original sound, and also really proud to see where they have of how far they have come since they started, because that's massive growth out there. They actually have impressed a ton, and in this release they went the extra mile, and it is really, really fun. I would have loved to have something slightly different, but still what we got there was really awesome. A really good take here, and if you are a massive bass fan like myself, you will love this a whole lot, because Nozomu, the character that Chiharu Sawashiro actually voices, is crazy good in this CD. From start to finish, the only thing that you will notice is the bass. The bass is relentless from start to finish. I found myself, especially because I was listening to the songs now with a different pair of headphones, so they are more bass-centric, and I was really feeling the bass pumping in my ears. That's crazy how much bass the song actually has, and especially when you tap into that with a dedicated pair of headphones for that specific thing. It is crazy. The song by itself, with a normal pair of headphones, or using that with monitors, or just listening to it on your cell phone, is already pretty bassy. That's the main focus in the song, in both songs actually, which is a nice touch, I feel, because I love a good bass line, and they provide some of the most iconic and addictive bass lines in the Tsuki Pro franchise, so there's that as well. If you are a bass fan, that's a neat detail that you will need to pay attention to. So when it comes to the releases in August, this is all, but we have more. We are going to dive into the releases in September. Also, we are going to bring BurnOut by EROSION, and this one is slightly different, a single. More emotional. I was not expecting them to go the ballad route for this release, but this is sort of a power ballad, really iconic in the sound that they deliver here. Guitars are screaming, the emotions are overflowing in the vocals. You have a screaming guitar from start to finish. Quiet parts that are fully focused on showcasing the vocals, which is something that I like a whole lot, especially with EROSION, which is a group that has an amazing lineup. So you get plenty of time with the vocalists actually tackling those parts with almost crystal clear soundscape around them, which is fairly rare in their repertoire. And when the chorus kicks in, I feel that it is almost like a stadium rock song. You feel that you need to sing along. Once again, That's a common denominator in all 3 singles part of these new season of CDs, and you feel that you need to sing along to these, but in an epic way, I feel. You have the full group performing in unison. I'm usually not the biggest fan of unisons. I've talked extensively about that. But this song actually hits different with that unison. Then when we have the small break or intermission between the first verse, the first chorus and the second verse, we had the beautiful piano melody there, ethereal, somehow fickle, that leads into the emotional second verse. This is a really powerful song. I feel that I enjoyed it a whole lot. I'm quite happy that the 2 singles back to back actually were really good. And yeah, BurnOut actually delivered. When it came to the second song, which is Diamond, things are slightly different because we went with a punk rockish sound. While I'm not the biggest fan of punk rock, I love rock music, but there are certain subgenres that I'm not a fan of. Speed metal and punk rock are 2 genres that I don't like because I don't like overly excessive speed on the drums, because it ends up muffling everything within the soundscape, especially because those are 2 music genres that use a lot of cymbals, so that's a lot of ringing noises in your soundscape, and you don't have as much bass or as many grounding elements in the drums, and usually the vocals need to either match the speed of the drums or do something really crazy that matches the craziness that goes on in the drums. So I'm not the biggest fan of punk rock or speed metal. In this case, what EROSION did with this song, Diamond, is punk rock. Although I don't like punk rock that much, because I already explained that, I still enjoy this song a whole lot, and it was kind of a close fight with BurnOut in terms of which song I enjoyed the most, but BurnOut actually screamed to me. The lyrics are relatable, and that was what tipped me into enjoying that song much more, and especially the piano, because I like to have those big dramatic piano pieces that we don't see as much in rock. It's usually associated with gothic rock or with shoegaze in some capacity, or with, let's say, post-rock in some capacity. And that is sort of rare to find. I treasure that a lot when it happens. And EROSION have had several instances in the past in which they used pianos to their best and to enhance their performances and make their songs even more impressive. And in this case, with BurnOut, they elevated the song to a level that I honestly cannot stop recommending. This song is unbelievably good. I would say BurnOut alongside Rhythm Chaos are the 2 best songs that EROSION as a band has released so far. This of course was an amazing release coming from EROSION. It put a big smile on my face because I was a bit disappointed with the very first release. It was not what I was expecting and it didn't capture the vibe. But when we go to Rhythm Chaos, the vibe was there, eerie as heck. And when we go to BurnOut, that's that screaming, emotional undertone with powerful rock that I love a whole lot, that captured me when EROSION actually debuted, although they were slightly more aggressive than they are right now. I don't know why that change happened, but since the drama CDs are not tied directly to the music, that's a bit hard to understand there if the music in any capacity changed because of some underlying tone within the story, or if it is a deliberate choice by Daisuke Iwasaki, Reject CEO and the lyricist for EROSION, and the composers working with him, who may be Hon or any other, depending on who is actually working on which track. That was another release that I enjoyed a whole lot in September. The other release in September that I feel was amazing was Anthos' Truth. And Truth actually starts with a really laid-back sound, bubbly in a way, fun, extremely bass-driven, a sound that will put a smile on your face and is really, really fun. I feel it is extremely summer-coded. The vibes are there. You can actually close your eyes and feel like you are enjoying the song on a lounge, or just going on a journey, sunset in front of you, horizon in there, and you are just driving away, and it feels really good. It's one of those songs that feels Like it carries a little bit of an adventurous vibe at the same time that he has a relaxing undertone. So I like that a whole lot. Once again, when it comes to the vocals, impressive. The organization between all the members is, as always, amazing. So I really only have good things to say about Curtain Call. However, Wilting is the song that impressed me the most. It goes in line with what we had about the unpredictability in Q, single that was released early this year. This was an unpredictable song. You start with the rapper singing, which is crazy. So Daiki Hamano is the one singing first, then Seiyuu Yamashita, and they kick off the song in a really impressive way, leading the way singing. Then we have everyone that supports the group, Toshiki Masuda, Wataru Komada, and then we have the main vocals actually bringing in as well a lot of class to this performance. This is a song that is meant for them to perform together, and the build up to the chorus is unbelievably good, full of tension, all the vocals at the same time, they rise, and then that's an amazing chorus. We have main vocals leading the way, only the 3 main vocals are performing the main part, and then we have everyone else performing the backing track, which is such a callback to the 90s pop, which is amazing and gives me goosebumps all the time that I listen to this song. The high notes going by Shun Horie are unbelievable in the first chorus. You have those by Shunichi Toki and Kentito as well in the second chorus. It's crazy good, this song. And it is unpredictable because you were expecting rap, and we have the rapper singing, we have usually the ones that are more in a supporting role, Wataru Komada and Toshiki Masuda, actually performing as well on the same level as the main vocals, and then the main vocals actually are giving you a show. This song is so 90s inspired in terms of the pop, and so vocally focused, because of course Zach B is here in the composition. Of course he is. Whenever a song is extremely technical on the vocal end and demands parts that demand cannons, which is the chorus is basically a big cannon, with the main vocals performing one part and the other ones performing completely different parts in the background, you are bound to have Zach B in the song, either as your lyricist or your composer, or even giving you instructions on the vocal end. And of course on the instrumental side you have Kan Takahiro, who has delivered some of the most iconic songs in the Vezrock franchise, as well as here in the Hanadol franchise. Always, if you have Kan Takahiro and Zach B in the same place, you are going to have a 90s inspired dance track with a lot of tension and massive focus on the vocals, and this song, Wilting, is exactly that. That's the best song in Truth by far, and I love this is something that I'm a big geek about, is when I see the composers for Anthos' songs, I already know how is going to be the flow. For Curtain Call you have E, who has worked before with the group. Usually his compositions are subdued, calmer, almost chill out. When you have Kan Takahiro and you have Zach B, things change, and they are all out dance music with an extremely difficult vocal line. And that's exactly what you get in Wilting, and honestly, me being a geek about composers actually prepared me for this release. I already knew that the compositions and the performances were going to be insanely good. And if you see Kan Takahiro with Zach B together, it's bound to be a hit instantly. I have yet to listen to a song performed by both, created by both of them, that doesn't have a really awesome performance on top. So yeah, they are usually a sign of quality for me. And whenever I see those 2 names, I already know what to expect. Same thing with E, who composed Curtain Call. And this one was really mentioned a couple of times by you in the comments. It's Daiki Yamashita and Tasuku Hatanaka with Share. I listened to that mini album yesterday, so I'm really fresh out of listening to it, and it is quite possibly one of the funkiest releases I've listened to in 2025. Of course, this year has been plenty of funky, let's say, because I've noticed that one common denominator in all the songs that I've listened to this year is that the bass has been massive. The, let's say, retro vibes with a sort of an influence of city pop and synthwave has been strong as well in 2025. So there's no shortage of songs that actually have that old school city pop-ish vibe, and that are really groovy and funky at the same time. So really fun, with a lot of movement. Those are songs that are meant for you to hit the dance floor, or at the same time, relax, sit back and enjoy the songs. The CD actually starts with an instrumental track. I was not expecting that, because this is a mini album by two solo artists that are teaming up to showcase their friendship as well as their quality on the vocal end. I feel that the instrumental track was sort of, I would say, that's a preparation for what awaits you, but sort of redundant if you look at the grand scheme of things, because the last song is not an instrumental, so you don't tie up any loose ends. It's more a mood setter, I feel, than a track meant to create a loop for you to listen to the CD over and over again. Which I feel it is a missed opportunity to wrap up with an instrumental track that ties up perfectly with the start of the opening track share. But alas, they didn't do that. When it comes to the CD itself, I'm going to say I'm the biggest fan of Lightly Carbonated Adolescence and Harmonious. Those two songs are the grooviest that I've heard this year by male seiyuu. And I've heard a ton of music by male seiyuu this year that has been groovy, which already tells you a lot. I feel that the thing that usually makes people a bit wary of collaborations there are a couple of things. Most collaborations are usually created in the sense that the songs are going to be featured in anime, which in this case, yeah, it happened. But at the same time, the collaborations usually don't have a really high quality level. I feel, at least in my opinion, they don't have a really high quality level. They are usually just meant to be songs to be featured in anime, and that's just it. You are just feeding off of that energy and emotion that people enjoy the song in the anime, so they want to listen to it again. But they actually, with this CD, with Share, they went a step forward and ensured that the CD, the mini album in this case, can be listened to time and time again, irrespective of where the songs are featured in, because they are really high quality. And when I say high quality, I'm talking about the instrumentals actually not following that crazy, ridiculous pop sound that is demanded at the moment for anime songs. Either you have a really specific rock sound or a really specific pop sound, and you will be featured, or you don't have it and the songs will not be featured. In this case, the song is extremely funky. It really goes outside of what is normal usually to feature in such a thing, and it is really fun to listen to, at the same time that it perfectly accommodates the vocals. And this is something that I usually find messed up or tricky to achieve, is that when you have two different singers within a song, the song has to basically match, or at least make both voices shine. It's hard to actually accomplish that. It's really hard to accomplish that. When you think, for example, if you have a baritone and a tenor, you need to be mindful of both the low and the high frequencies within your song. That's crazy. How do you balance that? You are going to have quieter parts for the baritone perhaps, and bassier parts for the tenor to actually shine. But when you have two tenors, things are slightly easier because they already are on a high range. You can put everything else in the background in a lower range in comparison, and you make that contrast and it works. Their voices will separate from the instrumental and you will have clarity. That's something that usually lacks in some songs. It's the lack of clarity, in which you feel that the voices are mixing up with the instrumental, because perhaps the singer is performing in a key closer to the instrumental, or some element in the instrumental that is quite predominant, or you feel that the instrumental is too muddy, for example, too bassy, too distorted, and it is actually eating up the high vocals. It happens sometimes when the mixing is not well done. It happens sometimes when the mixer is overly excited about making the bass pump up, but then they forget that the tenor perhaps doesn't have as much power in his voice, so he needs either to double his vocal track or to have his volume up and everything else in the background lowered in comparison, just to create that contrast. So that's a tricky thing on the mixing side. I feel that usually most collaboration songs don't achieve that well. And even when you go to the music franchises in which you have songs in which one member of one group is featuring in another group song or something like that, you usually notice that that member either has a part that is contrasting with their voice and the mixing is well done, or they have the same part that everyone else had, even if he has a different voice tone, and you will be muddied, it will be buried basically in the background, which is something that you don't want to see or hear happening, because it makes it so that the performance by that specific seiyuu or singer will not shine, and they will in comparison be considered not that good singers, when in fact the problem was the mixing was not well done and they actually were performing really well. Sometimes it's also the problem that the singer doesn't have as much power on their voice and their vocal range is quite limited, so even if they are a tenor, there are tenors that don't belt. And there are tenors that there are baritones that don't even go too low. They just have the start of the range and they don't have a wide range, they have the basic one. So you need to account to that as well when you are creating the songs and composing, and then the mixing, and that's a detail, a really geeky detail in the background. But I feel that with Cher, and I was going on a massive tangent, but I feel that with Cher, what you have is a mixing well done to cater to both vocals. Of course, they are both tenors, but Daiki Yamashita is a high tenor, and Tasuku Hatanaka is a sort of a raspy tenor. He goes really high if he wants to, but he's usually a raspy tenor with a warmer voice than Daiki Yamashita. Daiki Yamashita's voice is not warm to begin with. He can make it warm, he can make it really cold, he can make it really high and really low. Same thing for Tasuku Hatanaka, but per default, Tasuku Hatanaka's voice is warm and Daiki Yamashita is not that warm, he's a bit colder in comparison. And this works pretty well because you get a sort of a lukewarm sort of performance in terms of the temperature that they give. And then they are both tenors, they can go really high. Both can also go really low. They have a 4 baritone range as well. They can tap into it. Countless times they have showed that before, so that's not even a discussion. But you notice that when you are listening to the songs, they are never muddled. They are never in the background. They are always shining at front and center. And I love that a whole lot because the mixing was made thinking about showcasing the quality on the vocal end and not the instrumental. The instrumental is secondary to the voice, usually. That's how it should be. Otherwise, you are performing an instrumental song, perhaps with some tracks, some vocal tracks on top, if the focus is mainly on the instrumental. I like to see when the focus is mainly on the voice, because that's exactly what people sign up for. First and foremost, that's for the lyrics and the performance of those lyrics by the singer. The instrumental is always secondary too. If it improves the song, better. That's much better. If it actually drags the song down, that's a problem, but usually the performance will save that song in some capacity. Now, if the vocals are muddled, even if the instrumental is good, you cannot save that song whatsoever, because you either don't understand the lyrics, the singer doesn't sound well, or it doesn't sound at all because he's muffled in the background. I notice this happening, for example, in the Tokyo Color Sonic franchise, in which the mixer continues to insist on muffling the vocals. But yeah, those are really geeky details, and I already went on a massive tangent. But yeah, favorite songs are for sure Harmonious and Lightly Carbonated Adolescence. That's a massive title. I will never memorize this title in a lifetime. But I really enjoyed the songs. I have the review in front of me right now, and I really enjoyed this release. Honestly, I wanted more. I was thinking this was a full-length album. This is actually a mini album. But if this was an indication of something, is that first, Tasuku Hatanaka and Daiki Yamashita are two amazing singers that deserve all your attention. Two, they work really well together with other singers, showcasing how much experience they have working alongside other singers. Three, that this was a collab that I was not expecting by two of the most exciting tenors in the seiyuu industry. And four, that actually, if you pay close attention to the vocals and create music that actually enhances those vocals, you get a really massive release. I'm not kidding, Cher is within my top 10 best CD releases of 2025, by far. Whether it is within the top 5, I still have to see, but it is a top release of the year for sure. And when we go to October, I actually finally, please clap for me, I finally reviewed the music of Versus Ambivalence, the second season, and let me tell you, whew, I like this second season a whole lot. The first two CDs are unbelievably good. We are now going to talk about VSA Musical 2, which is the recent release, because that's the one that dropped in October that I have listened to most recently, and that's the only release that I bring from October to talk about, because I didn't feel like the rest of the month was really that awesome, and I still have some things pending as well, so this was what I could review on time. VSA Musical 2 goes in line with VSA Musical, the first CD, with the first batch of characters who you may now know as the members of Cranv, Funfair and Ilovista. But right now we have, with the 5 or 10, let's say, the 10 new members trying to get into the final group, which will be 5-membered, which is kind of a surprise. I was expecting another septet. We are going to get a quintet, which is really interesting. What I have here in terms of my feedback regarding these two songs that we find here, those are musical style of songs, which is to say they have more drama parts than song itself. It's really hard to evaluate or review in any capacity a song that is mainly a drama CD and then just little snippets of what could have been of a song. Still, I feel that the very first song, and I need to actually go to the titles because the titles are really long. The first song, Hanakakeru wa Makoto, is a song that has a Shinsengumi inspired story. And I feel that this one clicked the best with me because I'm a massive history geek and I like the Shinsengumi story, so that's another thing that plays in my favor in this case, because I'm aware of the story, I know the story, so I know what to expect when they are performing that. I like a whole lot that we have Ryohei Kimura taking the lead in this song as well as in the second song, which is crazy. I was not expecting that much Ryohei Kimura because I felt that the vocals were going to be well distributed. But don't mind me, because Ryohei Kimura is actually the voice I was most excited to listen to in this group. He has been unbelievable with Lil Happy. He has been amazing as A- in the Dear Vocalist franchise. I loved him a whole lot with Heavens in the Utapuri franchise, so I don't have any complaints whatsoever, and he has been doing an amazing job with Trignal, although Trignal have been on and off releasing music. He has been amazing with Trignal, so I don't have any complaints whatsoever. If it is Ryohei Kimura, I now know it's going to be a good time. That's a lot of quality, and this is a thing that makes me really proud about him, even though I don't even know him in person, but it is almost like I was following his career, and when he started singing, it was not particularly good 15 years ago. Let me tell you, if you listen to any of the songs he performed, character songs back then, as well as the earliest songs by Trignal, it was not really that good. It was not even passable at times, but he has improved a whole lot. That's what technique, practice, and actually focusing on seeing that quality has leveled up when it comes to 2D music singing, so I now need to level up as well. And he actually went the extra mile. Not only has he leveled up, but actually performs a cappella, and I will continue saying this, any seiyuu that can perform a cappella amazingly is a good singer and should be in a list of the best singers among seiyuu, by far. If a singer knows how to perform a cappella, for starters, that's an immediate add to my list of best singers among male seiyuu. That's a really hard genre to tackle. Your voice does everything. So seeing Kimura here performing with that raspy voice that I like a whole lot, as well with a higher toned voice that reminds me a lot about A- when it starts getting a little bit crazy, was really a bundle of fun. But we also have Daiki Yamashita here, Shunsuke Takeuchi, Chikahiro Kobayashi, and we have Hiro Ishibashi, the one that I was not even aware who he was until I listened to Versus Ambivalence, the second season. I still have a hard time distinguishing his voice as well as Chikahiro Kobayashi's from Daiki Yamashita's. That's crazy, you will say, but those voices are completely different. For me, they are within the same range at times, and it gets a little bit tricky, so I need to listen to them a bit more to actually tell them apart. But it's really awesome what they do here in Hanaka Keru wa Makoto. I enjoyed the song a whole lot, although it's a pity because you have the traditional elements, the taiko, the shakuhachi, the shamisen. You have those elements there that give a more traditional vibe to the song. However, whenever it gets really good, they cut for a drama scene. And that was slightly frustrating. I understand that because that's how a musical is usually structured. But I will confess this, I don't like musicals. So, this is the tricky stuff. So I don't like musicals. But I was listening to these, and I do understand that we have that shuffle or that smooth transition between music and performance, and music and performance, and music and performance. But with the song constantly fading away, it was basically making me less invested in the release than I was expecting. For example, the second track, Headlong Rush, I was not invested in the song at all. I found the song enjoyable by itself, but for example, the story went completely under the radar for me because I was trying to see when does the song start? Do we have a music part? There's even fewer music parts in this song in comparison with the first one, which makes it even harder to review. Then again, I feel that the small snippets that we have there, they are really a good indicator that we have really good vocals in this franchise, and especially in this second season. It's hard not to say that the vocals are amazing, because let me tell you, Hiro Ishibashi actually does screamo. That I was not fully aware who he was or how he sang, and actually was kind of surprised that he sang really well. And I'm so excited about this. So while I was not the biggest fan of VSA Musical 2, I rated it around 4 stars still because the enjoyment is there. I feel that what the group has been doing so far, the 10 members have been doing so far, has been impressive. Let me tell you, because I enjoyed the first and the second singles a lot, especially the second single. So yeah, there's that. We have as well, let me double check. 1, 2, so yeah, especially the second single was really awesome. But we also have the first one, Rise to the Top, which was crazy good. The second one, Color Collide. I was a sucker for Gold Rush. That's my song in that release in specific. But yeah, those are different things that I'm not going to dive too much here, because we are talking about the best CDs released in August, September and October. And as you can tell, we already wrapped up that section. So let's go to your suggestions. I've reviewed SOARA's release, but I need to dive into these because Kusono Retro is one of the songs that I liked a lot. Corona is actually a song that I don't recall if I enjoyed a lot, I feel maybe. But yeah, Esse no Silvis, I remember the song. Yeah, I will need to actually dive into this one with a bit more attention, but I like to see that we are getting these rearrangements and reimaginings of the songs, because they are not with the same name right now. They are sort of rearrangements. One thing that I noticed, for example, with the Quell and SOARA releases is that they are mixing a couple of songs within this song. So if you actually are capturing or getting slightly I would say little bits and pieces that you feel belong to a song and that remind you of a specific song, I feel it is intentional. Because when I was exploring, for example, Quell's CD, the first one, I actually was finding a lot of songs mixed within the songs that they had there. So it was sort of intentional, but I still have to dive into this one. But yeah, we have this one, another one to add to my list. I've reviewed 10 releases yesterday, so I need to review more. I have a massive backlog. I'm trying to go as fast as I can through my backlog, but this one is still missing for me. But good to see that growth are even more technical. One thing that I noticed with their first Anokoro is that they are actually not playing around when it comes to the vocals. They now have the full control that they wanted or wished they had back then. And right now, the songs are a walk in the park for them. Even if they are getting more technical, they are more technical themselves as singers, so it doesn't come across as something extremely difficult for them to perform. They are actually breezing through, which is kind of amazing. So yeah, thank you so much for your participation, Ao. And when we go to October, it's Ao, so Ao, welcome again. Kibo Kodo by Toki Shunichi. I know it's a song for an anime about the same theme, but there's just something really honest about the song validating your enjoyment of a hobby, coming from a seiyuu that is very outspoken about having boyish and otaku-like hobbies. It's a perfect warm listen I think everyone should have on their pick-me-up playlists by the end of the year. And it will be part of Jumble, coming out in the middle of November, so if you want to wait for the full album, it's going to be out soon too. So that's one of the albums that I have as most anticipated, so this is a spoiler for a section that we have there. Music in the Horizon. This is one of my anticipated CDs. It is Jumble by Shinichi Toki. I can't wait for that. I like to see, for example, when seiyuu validate and talk about their hobbies. So it's good to see that Shinichi Toki not only talked about those hobbies, but he talked proudly about those within a song. And people can see themselves in there and actually feel validated, which is really good. Although you don't need anyone's validation for your hobbies, please put that into your awesome mind. You don't need validation from others if you have a hobby. You do the hobbies that you want, whenever you want, and don't ask anyone's permission or validation. You validate yourself when it comes to doing what you love. But it is really good to see for people that are a bit more shy about it and feel a lot of pressure about talking about their hobbies and sometimes maybe hide their hobbies. I know for sure, for example, that when I work in a really strong business-driven company, so I cannot talk about my hobbies that openly. If I say that I like anime, people will look at me and say cartoons. Or if I say that I like otome games, they don't even know what that is. If I talk about seiyuu, they don't know what that is. So in my case, I end up not talking about it because no one understands that and doesn't make an effort to want to understand. They are just mocking you. So I can understand that point of view of trying to hide your hobbies and what you love because people will judge you or will not understand you and mock you because of that. That's a natural reaction for people that are too ignorant, I would say, and don't want to make an effort to respect other people's passions and hobbies because not everyone likes to watch football or likes to go to the club. Some people have other hobbies, some hobbies that are considered really geek, and I'm really proud about being a geeky person, so I will say that it's good to see that we have that sort of pride coming from a song, and that people can feel validated. I feel especially in Japan, in which otaku culture, although it is big, it's fairly criticized within workspaces. And even at school, you will feel that pressure, oh, that's the otaku guy or the otaku girl, and they live in their own bubble, and people tend to isolate those types of people that have really perfectly normal hobbies. And I feel that this is a good song, especially for people in Japan, young people in Japan, to feel validated when it comes to their hobbies and see that it is perfectly okay to be geek. It's perfectly okay to be an otaku, and don't let people shame you or mock you and use the word otaku as an offense, because it is not an offense. They are just ignorant. They don't know what is being an otaku and don't understand it. That's why they attack it. So once again, you don't need anyone's validation of your hobbies. That's the final message that I want to leave here. Although this was not what we were talking about, but still, I look forward to diving into that CD. That's one of my most anticipated releases of November. So let's see if Jumble is amazing, because I've been enjoying Shunichi Toki's music in the past couple of years, and he has been relentlessly good since, I will say, since last year. So I feel that we may have something really awesome coming from Jumble. Fingers crossed. It's actually really good, because I have an open spot in my top 5 best releases of 2025, and I feel that is going to occupy that place. That's why I still haven't talked about my favorite CDs of the year, because the list somehow is slightly tricky this year, because the one that I was expecting would be my number 1 CD is not my number 1 CD. So everything changed. So this is, yeah, something that I'm really excited about. So thank you very much, Ao, for participating and sending your messages for both August and October. So let's go to the next section. We are now in the monthly choice corner, in which I suggest songs that I have been listening to. And while I haven't talked about this specific release because it dropped, I feel, in July or June, I'm going to talk about it right now. It is Miyurino's Who I Am, and of course this is one of the biggest CD releases of the year. A new chapter for Miyurino, now with Columbia Records outside of Kiramune, and this is the biggest news of the year for me. It was really being underused at Kiramune, and I feel that now he has rejuvenated and been reborn, basically, with Columbia Records. He's doing what he loves. Who I Am is unbelievably good. I'm actually listening to the song in the background in my ear. It's a ton of fun. I feel that in the last couple of years he had tried to explore a more mature sound, and showing, of course, he's growing older, he has different priorities and focuses when it comes to as a performer and as a lyricist and even as a singer that he wanted to actually bring to his music. Of course, Kiramune will restrict that, because their artists, when the music genre is trendy, all the music artists within Kiramune will perform in that style, and that's something that is sort of a limit. It basically creates a limit for the artist of what they can do. And Miyurino now with Columbia Records is doing whatever he wants, and Who I Am is the perfect example of he's doing what he loves. And this is an amazing release. I have it on repeat, Who I Am, and I'm now jamming to it. Super funky, retro sound with a mix of disco music with city pop. It's also theatrical in a way, sort of musical inspired as well, which makes sense because Miyurino's life is mostly about being a musical actor first, and then a voice actor, and then a singer. So I feel that this all ties up perfectly. The sound that you have in Who I Am, the full single, not only the title track, is that of an artist that is being reborn and having fun doing what he loves, bringing little nuances and little nudges about what he usually does for a living, basically, into his music. And the music is musical, it is fun, it is groovy, danceable, but super mature, and that it has a really good retro sound with a ton of bass in which his high vocals can shine, and it's insane what he pulls off in these singles. So if you can, please check Who I Am, because chef's kiss, it's amazing. Other, and that's the second and last that I will recommend this month, it's the last one by vs Ambivalence. This is performed in a way that I was not expecting in the Versus Ambivalence franchise. This is a full-on rock song with screamo. Mind you, screamo. I found this song super good. Hard to find seiyuu that perform this well rock music. At the same time, a rock song that is so incisive and with a really shredding guitar and powerful drums and really a sound that makes you want to sing along. It's rare. Once again, there are projects that have rock music like Dig Rock, like Dear Vocalist, but still this type of sound is not really common in both projects. This is more of a sound that has sort of Visual Kei inspired vibes in there. It reminds me a lot of what you could find in Bandia Rose, or you could find in some capacity in the Fly Me project, but not as common as you would think, and not as common as I would love to find. So I was pleasantly surprised because the single, the CD itself, has plenty of pop music in there, but when this song arrives, I stopped everything because look at this, we have a rock song and it is not a gimmicky rock song. And I feel that the lineup in the Versus Ambivalence franchise, especially the second season, has been amazing to provide with these kinds of surprises, and this one was one of those pleasant surprises that I want to see more of and hope we get more of. Hopefully the next CDs will be the same line, although we are now, I feel that the voting already happened, so maybe we are going to get the groups announced early next year, the new group. But yeah, this was one that I wanted to bring here, was Versus Ambivalence with the last one, and I wanted of course to bring Myoirino with Who I Am, because that's an amazing song and an amazing single through and through. In August we have Ao, and Ao says, I'd like to use the space to mention SOARA's Anokoro release that happened at the same day as Growth's one in August. This might have been genuinely the first time I felt SOARA was on the verge of releasing something I liked more than Growth. There's obviously the fact that I Will was originally arranged for just John Sun's voice for SOARA's movie, and only then rearranged for SOARA the seiyuu cast, so John Sun had to polish it up, but regardless of version, it's just a really good song. Though the highlight for me is the second song, Bokura no Uta, Song for Us. There's just so much warmth and history that for SOARA in it that makes it worth at least a couple of listens, and the fact that the voice actors have also improved greatly on top of most of them being good from the start. Hello Toshiki Toyonaga, Makoto Furukawa and Yuki Ono. Yes! Makes it a must listen to their fans. Plus the little signs used do give the title wings in such a SOARA move that I love from a perspective of someone working with text and its graphical portrayal. Oh, okay. Wow. First of all, we are in tune once again. I talked plenty about SOARA's release. Good to see that we are in tune. It's an amazing release. Bokura no Uta, I feel it's the song that best illustrates the path that SOARA undertook since their debut. It's a good indicator of where they were, where they are, and where they want to be in the future. So that's a really geeky thing that longtime fans or hardcore fans that may have not been following the franchise since the start, but have picked up the franchise midway through and went on to become really massive fans. We have noticed is that their growth over time, and there are small nods within the lyrics and the way they are performing, as well as the way the instruments enter the song, that give hints about things in the past, from past songs as well, and also showcase that the focus, while it was initially on Toshiki Toyonaga and Yuki Ono, the main two vocals when the group started, it actually expanded to the rest of the band, and the rest of the band is equally talented. And it's really good to see, for example, Taishi Murata performing so well, Chiharu Sawashiro performing well as well, to see more spotlight for Makoto Furukawa, who is basically a power vocal that was hidden in the background for a while when the group debuted. So it is really good to see that now, as a group, now matured as a group, they sound even better. And I was really enjoying this a whole lot. I have not listened to the Growth release, which is a PT, so I cannot compare. But this was a really interesting SOARA release in the sense that I enjoyed both songs. and I usually don't enjoy most of SOARA's songs. I like their music, but I don't love their music, which is slightly different. So I can enjoy their music and listen to it and actually review it pretty well, but it's not the type of music that I feel, I actually need to go back and listen to it again. I usually don't do that with SOARA. I do that mostly with Quell. Some songs in Growth and some in Solids. But especially with Growth and Quell, I return to their music all the time. And mind you, my favorite group is actually Solids, but I return to Quell and Growth's music all the time. SOARA not so much, and Solids it's a bit on and off depending on if I want to feel that cheesy sexy vibe yet again that I love, or if I just want to listen to something a bit quieter. Repertoire in the past, because I believe in the last 2 or 3 years, the franchise has been so good that I barely find any songs that have any problems. I feel that the only problem, the big problem that I had recently was when I revisited Radakiana, the rearranged version, and I still don't like the rearranged version. I feel that they watered down the song so much. Although it is technical, the chorus doesn't flow the same way, hence it doesn't hit the same way, so the song feels fundamentally different and fundamentally wrong, because you are used to the original version that hits much deeper and stronger than the rearranged version. But that's a personal opinion once again there. I feel that most people actually enjoy the rearranged version more so than the original one, because the vocals are much better in the new one in comparison with the old one. I feel that instead of having the rearrangements, which I like, it is a good idea to have that happening, I would have loved to see just a new performance on top of the old song. Because I feel that the thing that changed the most were the seiyuu, not necessarily John's compositions. So yeah, that's the thing that I feel was slightly missing there, but other than that I don't have any complaints whatsoever. But once again, I cannot compare the Growth CD with the SOARA CD because I only listened to the SOARA CD. The SOARA CD is actually really good, and I was surprised that I enjoyed the CD more than I usually do, but that's a good sign. I like to see when groups evolve and we get to enjoy their music in different ways, and music that I usually didn't enjoy from them, I actually am enjoying. But with SOARA, mostly I like the solo songs more than the group songs. So yeah, thank you very much, Ao. And now we are going to dive into another one. We have ML. So welcome, ML. ML says, I'm sad because it's been a year since Ultras, the newest group from B-Pro, got new music, so I want to talk about them. They only have 6 songs, but they are all really good. My favorite is Young Blues. This is their only song that isn't EDM. It's the kind of song that makes you want to sing or even scream along. I'm not sure how to describe the instrumental. It's mostly a simple rock song, but has some short intermissions, the pre-chorus and the middle of the chorus, that quiet down while the vocals change almost to rap. Okay. The vocals are really fun and powerful, and other than the rap parts, we also have some high notes to make it more varied. The rest of the songs are pretty varied too, even if they're all EDM. For example, Enjoy in the chorus has a brass instrument, I believe, along with those DJ-like sounds. Forgive me for my poor music knowledge. Believe me, I still need to, from time to time, double check what I'm writing and double checking my previous reviews, because I forgot how to call certain things that are really specific about a composition. So do not apologize. Even I, person that has been doing this for 15 years, I forget things, and sometimes I don't know how to describe them. So I either don't describe them or I describe them poorly. So I'm understanding what you are saying. The thing is, they make the chorus fun and unique. Another example is Daybreak, which is much slower and almost ballad-like. Overall, while they don't have the most technical songs, I believe they still make good use of both voice actors' skills. I just noticed that I didn't mention them until now, but they are Kentito and Tasuku Hatanaka. I love that duo, especially with Kentito singing a bit deeper than usual overall. I have Ultras in my list to review. That's one of the biggest releases in my pile of shame. And that pile of shame is 60 plus CDs at the moment. I still have to review that, and I know that when I saw the announcement that it was Tasuku Hatanaka and Kentito, I was really excited, but then I saw it was B Project, and The music has been mostly a miss for me in the last couple of years. They have tweaked the music for some groups and they have ended up becoming more enjoyable, and some actually become really good, but the music is usually a miss for me in that franchise. Maybe they won't be. In the last couple of years it has been hit or miss, hit or miss, hit or miss. Usually Thrive is the group that is the most consistent, and even them have bad songs. So I feel that maybe I need to double check that. But once again, Ultras is in my list of CDs to review. I hope I can get to that until, or at least before the end of the year, but it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge, I'm not kidding. So I will see, and I need to actually review that, but I'm quite excited, especially when you say Kentito performing in a deeper tone. That's rare. He doesn't do that with the Hypnosis mic. He doesn't do that, he sort of does that with Saidem. He doesn't do that with the Hanadol franchise. So I'm kind of interested in seeing how that actually works, because if you are saying that Tasuku Hatanaka is there, and we already know he is, and we have Kentito actually going lower, I will assume that Tasuku Hatanaka is the one going higher, to contrast there, unless the group is performing at stable mid-tone and nothing really different happens when it comes to the vocal ranges. But I'm quite interested about that. But really, thank you for making that mention, ML. This is on a list to review. My shameless list of CDs to review that also has CDs from 2023 and 2024. So mind you, this is a bigger problem than it looks like. It's not only the 2025 releases, I have the 2024 and the 2023 releases pending there, and Ultras is in that list for me to review. So I will get into that, provided I have time to. But everyone else, please go check Ultras. They have their music available on Spotify. Once again, you will expect some EDM there because it is the B Project franchise, one of the biggest reasons why I'm not that into that franchise. But also really good vocals, and you have Kentito and you have Tasuku Hatanaka. And we have talked plenty about both in these episodes, so you should be curious by now to go and check Ultras. So that's our recommendation here, mostly a recommendation by ML, but also my vouching on top of that, because yeah, they have amazing voices, so I can only wait to hear what they can do on the vocal end. And to wrap up, we have a comment by Ao, and Ao says, absolutely truth by Anthos. It's been released on streaming in October, so I've been obsessing over it also on Spotify. There's something absolutely beautiful about Wilting, using all three high note vocals for the choruses and having the rap team, Hyoge and Mahiro, take the first while the supporting vocals, Chise and Haruta, take the second verse. I would never try to compare Anthos to Lolodi, they're completely different teams, but I definitely got a very similar tragic beauty feeling from Wilting. Though maybe I'm just biased. I feel we are both biased. I like Anthos a whole lot. Wilting is the highlight in truth, by far. The song has a really dramatic vibe. I feel, in a way, I wouldn't compare with Lolodi just because Lolodi is fatalistic. Their music sounds fatalistic. It's not dramatic, it's fatalistic, which is a step over that. But I would say that this song is really dramatic, theatrical in a way. The way that the song is performed in the chorus is really well done. I like to see when the vocals are arranged in that way, in which you have the main vocals are completely in the spotlight, but you have the supporting voices in the background, and they are just as powerful as the leading voices. It's rare to find that sort of balance. Lolodi did that pretty well when they were performing, but they were a smaller group, only 3 members. But here you have those cannons working with a 7-member group, and it works really well. So yeah, that's a sort of a dramatic, I would say, take. You mentioned tragic beauty. I can see a tragic beauty in there. But Lolodi, the only thing that I would say it's slightly different, and that makes me say that while this song has shades of that, what Lolodi did, They don't sound like Lolodi because Lolodi has a fatalistic vibe. As soon as you listen to a song, it sounds like you are going to visit a cemetery or something like that. It's really forlorn and almost doom-like in terms of the vibe with Lolodi. And still with Anthos, although we have that tragic vibe, it's a tragic beauty, but it's sort of and weirdly upbeat. So two different groups with two completely different things. I can see why you will talk about elements of Lolodi being here, because they are sort of there, because that drama that you usually have for that epicness that Lolodi songs usually had is there. And you have that sort of canon chorus in which you have the main vocal leading the way and then backing vocals in the background as powerful as the leading vocal. That's something so Lolodi that you actually have there for Anthos, and it works pretty well. I feel that you are making good comparisons there, and I can see those elements. If you are really geek about both groups and into their music a lot, you will find times in which they actually sort of emulate each other in terms of the vibe. This song is one of those. Wilting, the title, is already sort of dramatic or doom-like, but they never go to that full-on, this is super dark vibe that Lolodi had. I feel that Lolodi, when you are representing groups from lighter to darker, Lolodi will probably be on top when it comes to being a dark group. Their performances were not overly in the sense that it was bad, but they were dramatic, really dramatic. Some were operatic, which is really theatrical way of performing, which is grandiose and full of drama to match the doomsday-like lyrics and the dramatic and sometimes tragic lyrics that we had, which was really common. With Anthos, is sort of a slightly different approach. I still feel that they have elements of Lolodi. In some capacity, the project wants to pay homage to Lolodi, I feel, and this song may have been the one. Now we are going to the Music in the Horizon corner. This episode is sponsored by all the Hand That Feeds HQ's patrons on Patreon. A big thank you for the support. And it's time for Music in the Horizon, and of course we are already well into November, so some of these are CDs that I already reviewed, but I'm going to mention as well. I'm really excited about the CDs by Soma Saito, Makoto Furukawa and Shunichi Toki, as well as Mamoru Miano. This is a big month. I feel that November is actually bringing all the heavyweights at the same time. The only ones missing here, I would say, are Yumo Uchida, Shota Aoi and Toshiki Masuda, and they're basically, some of them are basically nowhere to be found. Others may release some music, but next year. And for example, Kentito is going to release a CD in January. He would also fit this month really well, but I'm kind of excited about what he can bring in January. So, but yeah, I've already reviewed Nuance. If you are following everything here on the channel, you will find not only the unboxing video, you will find my review of Mayohiga, you will find a long review of the album, as well as a list of 7 things that I enjoyed about the CD, as well as 2 that I didn't enjoy about the CD. Those, yeah, will be available on the channel, so you can dive into those about Nuance. I'm not going to dive into that because this episode is not meant for that. I'm also really excited about Makoto Furukawa and what he has next. Of course, it is a single, so let's see what he does there. We also have Mamoru Miano with a full-length album. This is going to be massive, especially because right now Mamoru Miano is sounding really well. He's back on his stride, so I'm really excited about that. And also we have Shunichi Toki as well with a second full-length album, Jumble. So I'm quite excited about all these releases. Let's see what we will have in terms of the quality. I already know the quality of Soma Saito's Nuance, so I will not talk about that. You have plenty of videos to know what I thought about that CD. So yeah, and you will have my opinion in the next episode of Monthly Review, so do not worry. You will have a sort of an extensive take on Nuance yet again, in case you are not sick of hearing me talk about Nuance. But yeah, I'm really excited. I would say that the most excited I was for Somasaito's new S. I feel that the CD that actually is going to impress me the most is going to be Makoto Furukawa's, but let's see what the other CDs will end up doing. Mamoru Biyano usually tends to surprise at times. Almost every 2 CDs he ends up surprising me a lot, so this may be the one. Shunichi Toki has been on a roll, so I feel that Shunichi Toki may release something really interesting. I have yet to listen to anything from that CD because I want to listen to the CD from start to finish, so that's my thing there. When it comes to, well, CDs that you are looking forward to, Ao says, obviously Jumble. I'm really curious what Tokishun will serve us, though it seems to be one of those pick-me-up albums rather than the one with intricate concept. Oh well, I need more Tokishun's music in my life, so it works for me either way. I was really enjoying the conceptual albums, but I feel that creating a concept album is not usually that easy. You need a lot of... The songs need to actually fit the purpose, and sometimes you are not writing music or bringing in lyrics that make sense together. So sometimes it's best to actually not do anything there and just go for a pick-me-up type of album in which you can grab any song and it's ready to go. You can listen to it, you don't miss anything if you don't listen to the album in a specific order, which works pretty well to bring more people to actually want to get into music, for example. We're in the Ask Vanessa corner, and this time around we don't have any questions whatsoever. So what I'm going to do here is briefly walk you through all the reviews that I have right now. I know that you guys are still waiting for some reviews that I said that I was going to post on the website, but things have been really busy on my end professionally, so I have not had the time to do so. But I have those reviews and those will eventually find their way to the website. So that's the thing. We were going to talk about the reviews. What I have here that I have yet to post on the website is Shuechiba Strick, I feel is yet to be shared. Illuvista Night for 2, Illuvista the other single, Koi something something. Then Funfair Best Member, Funfair the other single as well, Erosion, Aim and Night, Gakuto Kajiwara Junjo de Are. We have as well Myuri no Who I Am. We have Zul Break the Limitation. We have Trigger Empathy. We have Erosion Rhythm Chaos, Erosion Burnout, Anthos Truth, Rivale Tenuto. We have SOARA I Will Bokura no Uta. We have Growth Shin Radakena, which is a single from last year. And we have Quell What Do We See, a single from last year. We have Versus Ambivalence Rise to the Top. We have Versus Ambivalence Color Collide. We have Versus Ambivalence VSA 2 musical. And we have Daiki Yamashita and Tasuku Hatanaka as well, which share. Those are all the CDs that I have yet to share on the website. I will see you guys soon. I feel that I don't have too much to talk about because there were no questions. I'm not going to talk about Somasaito CD because that's something for the next episode. So yeah, this was all from me. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It was jam-packed with awesome music and the reviews will drop on the website, do not worry. Within this year, they will drop. That's my promise. So do not worry. Now things are going to start to get really tricky for me because I have 24 episodes for the review advent calendar to record in 1 or 2 days, and I have the end of the year podcast episodes as well and the written features, which I'm still debating on whether I will drop those at the same time as the podcast episodes or later. So yeah, and the Handed Feeds HQ awards will start the voting earlier in December and run until the end of this December to have a dedicated episode on the podcast in January. That's the best way to actually do these, to have the awards running in the end by the end of the year instead of early in the year, and still be talking about music from this year next year in February, which makes no sense, and we were doing that now and it makes no sense whatsoever for me. So I've rearranged these, and the Handed Feeds HQ awards will be running starting from December 1st until the end of December. I will then decide on a date for it to wrap up because I need to record the podcast episode about it. But I will let you know, and you will have all the information in the community tab as well as on Patreon. Thank you very much for watching this episode. I hope this was interesting and fun. Thank you so much for everyone for participating.